Welcome back to Man Across New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be talking about... I don't really know off the top of my head. I can't really think of anything particularly I want to talk about. If there's any new like gaming news, I mean, there's probably new gaming news and all that, you know, good stuff, but nothing I can particularly think of off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm still not used to the whole new setup I've got going. Well, it's not. I don't say it's a new setup because it's not like I've got new technology or whatever. It's just I've literally just sort of switched around which one is my main monitor. It feels different, you know. It feels like I've stepped into a parallel dimension. But anyway, hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 5:23 p.m. on Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. Excuse me, I was just coughing. Let's close my window a little bit, just to block out all that outside noise. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned it, I think, a little bit yesterday, and then, did I? Maybe I didn't, I can't remember. But basically, just due to, like, desk ergonomics, it was something I always, like, you know, make sure to keep, it's something you should just sort of generally keep an eye on, because, you know, especially if you spend a lot of time at a desk, or, you know, at any sort of computer, or whatever, you want to make sure that you're doing it in a way which is not going to, you know, be bad for you posture-wise, or, you know, cause you pain in your later years or something. August 31st is Audie's birthday. Okay, you want to do things in a way which, you know, will not necessarily be beneficial to you, but be not detrimental at the very least. And one of the things I talked about was the fact that the drawing tablet, I'm right-handed, so of course normally I'd have my drawing tablet on. It makes more sense ergonomically to have my drawing tablet on my right and my keyboard kind of to the left of it. But how I was doing it before was basically having my drawing tablet like right next to me, like right on my stomach, and then having my keyboard far like past it, like I was stacking them vertically rather than horizontally. And then I was looking at like drawing tablet ergonomics. Maybe I can find a site or whatever. No, I don't know. There was like there was like some very nice diagrams of a desk space, of a way to set up something, and then one of the ways that they set it up was like, oh, with a curved monitor. If you have a second monitor with a curved desk, you can set it up like this. And I have a kind of a curved desk. It's not like super curved, but you know, it's curved enough that I think it ends up working out. And, you know, the suggestion is, of course, put your tablet facing the monitor you're working at, put the mouse to the right side, put the keyboard to the left side. And I was like, this makes sense. I don't know why I didn't do that before, rather than my very annoying way of basically having to stretch a huge amount while working with a tablet. Not that it's actually that bad, but it's just like, it really restricts the sort of like desk space. It feels like sort of quite unnatural, sort of like reaching over your tablet with like one hand really outstretched and one hand like sort of really sort of curled in to use a drawing tablet. So that's why I switched to having my drawing screen be my right screen, having my main screen be my left screen, because I always draw on my off screen. And it's been more convenient, certainly, when I'm drawing, and I haven't got quite used to it. And mainly the biggest nuisance is my microphone placement. It's a bit weird on this one, because I can't so easily tuck it away like I could. Like, just the way my desk is set up, I can't really describe it to you without showing you a picture, but I'm not going to show you a picture of my desk, because it's really not that important. I'm going to be honest, we're just kind of here to fill things up conversationally. Just like the way, like, my computer, my monitors, and my desk is set up, the fact it's like, it's a kind of curved desk. I'm not going to say like it's super curved. It's curved to an extent is probably what I say. Means that the way the microphone is clipped on the right side of the desk is a bit different from the left side, mainly because I suppose I'm further away from the left side of the desk, which means you may sort of just be like, why don't you then like shift all your like computer monitors stuff to the left? And honestly, that's a pretty good idea. I don't know why I haven't done that. Because right now my computer, not my computer monitor, my microphone is sort of like coming underneath my computer monitor, which is poking up underneath. That's how I've got it sort of structured, rather than previously on the other side of the desk it was poking up underneath the monitor, but it was also kind of tucked to the side at the same time, so it made it a bit more convenient to sort of push it away. Now it's a bit more difficult to push away, so sometimes the microphone is kind of in the way, but if anything, that's a good thing, so it means I'm not sort of slouching when I'm using my computer, because now the microphone will sort of be blocking the bottom part of my monitor. If I'm slouching, I've got to sit up straight, you know, have good posture, like I'm playing Stepmania, and so I can like peer over my microphone, but if anything, still, it's a little bit too high still. What if I just like sort of eke it down a little bit? It's a bit hard to eke it down. It doesn't really go much lower. It's a problem. And one of the problems is I also got this like pop filter microphone. Pop filter mic. What? I got this pop filter over top. You know, to stop like the plosive sounds of like P's and B's or whatever going to the microphone, making that distinctive popping noise. And what size is it? Hold on. David Ravoy. I don't know who that is, but presumably they're an artist, so you know they've gotten a good idea of exactly the sort of ergonomics you should be working with. So yeah, I do have this curved desk. I think if I were to completely rearrange things, I'd set things up more in the actual curve itself. Put my computer perhaps down on the floor on the side, maybe underneath my desk, or something. Because right now my computer monitor is on the desk, and it's at such a location where it's a little bit awkward to actually properly make room. Like, I'm trying to describe. So I've got like an L-shaped desk, which is curved, at least have a part I sit on, and then, you know, I've got about like 30 centimeters of space at the very left of a long tail of an L, you know, where there's not really nothing. This is where I store my drawing tablet. This is where I store like my bottle. If I've got any other sort of small things which need to temporarily be put down, I put it down there. Then I got, you know, the next 50 centimeters where left monitor takes up, 50 centimeters where right monitor takes up, and then the last like 20 centimeters is where my computer case goes. And then I got like this other part of the curved part of the desk, which is like, I don't know, I'd say it's about 50 centimeters, where I just put papers and stuff. Like, this is all just like important papers that I've used to take notes on like current things. I mean, some of this isn't particularly relevant anymore. I mean, that one's just a drawing of an outline of a shoe, which is from like like a escape room thing I did for a friend ages ago. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not using the space properly, to be perfectly honest. If I was to redesign everything, you know, I think I'd put the computer underneath the desk, you know, the back corner or something. But the main reason I haven't is this computer case I have is an in-win 303 case. Like, I don't know if any of you care about this, I'm going to be perfectly honest, but you know, I care about this. You know, talking through this sort of stuff is interesting to me, at least. It's an in-win 303 case, which, you know, I love the case. I picked it because I quite liked its sort of more sleek-looking design, you know. I don't really care so much about the glass case on the side. Some people care about that. They like to have RGB in their case. I'm not really that sort of person. I just picked it just like it was the only options, I think, was to have a thing on the side. If I was to buy one in the future, I'm not really going to care about that. I'd rather have more ventilation than, you know, a see-through thing to the computer. I guess it's kind of useful because I can see if things are not working. I can see like the interior lights and whatnot. So, you know, fair point there. Sorry, let me have a sip of water. But this case is a little bit different from a lot of other cases. Is the fact that the air intake is actually at the bottom of a case rather than at the front, where I feel like a lot of cases are, and that's what gives the in-wing case a sort of like sleek front and a very sort of minimalistic front of paneling in the first place, which is why I liked it. But it's because the intake is at the bottom. It's often recommended not to put these sort of cases straight onto carpet, because that's, you know, obviously with carpet you sink into a carpet a little bit, it could block the intake. Having it being on like a hardwood certainly lets the intake be a little bit more clearer. You might be like, what's the outtake? There's one fan on the back of the outtake and one fan out this side for the outtake. But yeah, that's mainly why I haven't actually put my computer case on the floor, because all my other previous ones used to be on the floor. But to be fair, all my other previous computers, actually no, my first computer I had was a pre-built computer, ran Windows Vista. I bought it from, I'm not even sure where, maybe PC World or something. It was terrible, I'm not gonna lie, but it was also my first computer. I didn't know how to build computers back then, and I was also quite young, so, you know, it served me well. It had this absolutely appalling design, where, I'm criticising it now, where it had a power button basically at the top of a computer case. Fair enough, but it was so easily pressed that sometimes I would sort of like just like put my knee down on my leg or something, and it would accidentally like hit the top power button. It would like reset my computer or turn it off. It was also made out of like this very weird sort of plastic, that button, and I don't know why it's so distinctive to me. I don't know if I could find it anymore, but still. Anyway, that computer didn't really have particularly good specs or anything, so, you know, when I got a bit older, when I started to learn more about computers, and, you know, I talked to one of my mother's colleagues who knew about computers, and he recommended, you know, he would help me build my own computer, my first computer, and it was awesome. I'm going to be honest, you know, I didn't really actually do all that much. He was very helpful. He's a very nice guy. Haven't spoken to him for years, so who knows what he's up to nowadays. But he helped me build that computer. It was awesome. It worked for a real long time. I remember he was also one who helped me because, you know, I started having troubles with my first computer. Basically what happened was my graphics card's fan broke and would no longer cool down the graphics card. So if I played games, the card would just like overheat and then it would like shut down and like blue screen. I remember he was the one who helped me sort of like troubleshoot things and basically suggested to me the concept of building a new computer, because he was like, it's probably not worth it to replace this graphics card, or like, it's one of the options. You replace the fan, you replace the graphics card, or you just replace everything. And he was like, you know, it seems like a good idea to replace everything. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. And pitched it to my parents. My parents were like, sure. You know, we'll do it. We'll make sure it's a good investment. Make sure you do your research. Did my research. Got some help from him, and we, you know, made a computer. It was cool. I remember I got really worried the first time I actually built that computer as well, because the case came, like all the things got shipped in, and then the case came and it was like damaged, like the panel, the side paneling like didn't quite fit into it properly, because of like the corner got like hit. Got like smushed in, and like, you know, I remember my dad helping me to like sort of like unbend it back into position so it, you know, could actually be used. Then so one random day, you know, just built a computer. I didn't really do much. I did watch a guide beforehand of basically how to build a computer, because I was like, I should at least be prepared for this situation. But you know, he basically like did everything. I sort of just like watched, and he was like, oh, okay, you know, cool. And he was like, hey, do you want to do this part? And I was like, sure. it was super helpful, and it was really nice. I still remember that fondly. I hope he's doing well. You know, I think we sold him my old computer as well. But yeah, had that computer for a long while. I replaced it. I don't really remember what caused me to replace it exactly. I don't remember. Did it break down? It might have broke down. It might have been back graphics tablet. Like, I don't know, what am I buying? Might have failed. Or maybe the CPU. No, I feel like something about it failed. Or there was a decent reason. Oh, maybe it was a RAM. No, I think I was having problems with it, and we determined it was probably a motherboard problem. And I was like, okay, I could replace just the motherboard, or I could replace most things in here. So I was like, okay, let's just sort of replace most things in here. You know, it's been like 8 years or so. 8 years? Yeah, it might have actually been around 8 years. Oh man, that's quite a long time. That's crazy. So I was like, let's actually probably replace this computer with something I built, and I know, you know, I did my research again, this time by myself, looking at sort of like computer parts to buy, looking at reviews, and you spend time waiting for sales, etc. Then like sales come along, purchase parts, reuse some of parts on my previous computer. Like, I can't remember if I reused RAM. I reused one of the hard drives for a while, until that hard drive, I was like, it's taking forever to spin up, and I think it's going to fail very soon, so I disconnected it, just in case I ever want to preserve the information on it. Being able to access it one more time and extract all the information from it and onto a different drive is probably important. So, you know, it's still sitting in my computer, just like not plugged into anything. Just try and preserve its existence. But if it dies, it dies. It's not really that huge a loss, I don't think. I don't remember if I don't think I did reuse anything else. I was going to reuse my optical drive, but the InWin case doesn't even have an optical drive like slot on it. And, you know, fair enough. Doesn't really matter in the first place, because, you know, most of the times you're not really using CDs anymore. Like, the only thing I have used a CD for in recent years would be to install, like, video drivers or whatever to a computer, this computer, but there's no need for it anymore, because now you can just do it with a USB. Even, like, Windows installations you can do with a USB now. You can have, like, the startup pack, and it works, and, you know, we've got access to the internet, so it's all fine. Did I really not reuse anything? I don't even remember what else is in my computer. I should really get more RAM at some point, but it's the biggest upgrade I think I can get right now is RAM, especially when I'm rendering videos. I think another hard drive would be nice. Wait for like Cyber Monday to pick another one of those up. You might be like, what graphics cards you have? I have a 1080 Ti. That doesn't really need to be upgraded anytime soon, I don't think. I think it's completely fine. It's doing a good job. My CPU, my motherboard, I'm happy with that. It's just basically RAM, if anything. Especially because, like, with, like, the software programs I end up using, it would be nice to have more RAM to be able to, you know, account for that. But, oh well. That's not really that big an issue at the moment. I don't even remember what RAM sticks I got, so, you know, it's going to be hard to upgrade that. It's just nice that nothing's really failed yet. Like, my all-in-one cooler hasn't failed yet either. I don't know. I recently learned from a friend that you're meant to, like, change a fluid in the all-in-one cooler. The all-in-one cooler is for the CPU. Most of the times it's like a giant fan. But I was like, I don't think the giant fan is going to fit in this case. This case is, you know, not like extremely narrow, but I think it'd be narrow enough that I wouldn't be able to fit in the general, the much more normal choices for a CPU fan. So I was like, let's get an all-in-one cooler, and, you know, we'll call it that way instead. I'm not sure. It's a, what brand is it? Corsair. All-in-one Corsair CPU cooler. Change liquid? Is it? I don't know if you're meant to change a liquid. I think it's just full of water, my one, but I don't really know. I'll do just that. Why not drink it like that? Changing water every 6 months. Ugh. The liquid have evaporated. Oh. Other day I was wondering it shouldn't be too much effort. I would install it every 6 to 9 months. What? False, you never change a liquid inside. Oh, okay, never mind. What? I don't know. About 10, you'll be good for about 10 years. Eventually, the cooling liquid will all evaporate and the unit will no longer function. But it's about 10 years time. Okay, I'm good. It turns out. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I'm not an expert in IT or anything like that. Don't change the cooling liquid, I guess. Oh, you don't need to, I suppose, is the long and short of it, which is, you know, nice. It's nice to not have to. Yeah, so what was I going to say? I don't really know what I was going to say, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Yeah, so I don't know, I guess we're talking about building computers. That's what we're talking about today. Desk ergonomics. I'm not really sure if there's much else to say about the sort of building computer. Like, I cleaned it out recently. I talked about that a couple of days. No, I must have been a couple of weeks ago now, I think. Hello, Lily. And that was particularly nice because I was like, oh, my computer's it's not overheating recently, but it's been really loud recently. And I thought about it and I was like, I haven't cleaned out my computer for about 2 or 3 years now. Probably should do that. Cleaned it out. Now it's silent. That's the thing I always like most about my computer peripherals is that they're quiet. Suddenly, I don't need the most strongest but most high-tech technology. I don't need it to be as fast as possible, as long as it's not like breathtakingly slow. As long as it's reasonably reliable and quiet, that's all I like. And this computer is very quiet. Like, I don't know, let's try and listen to it now. I mean, you're not even going to be able to hear it, I'm pretty sure, but I don't even remember if I've got all the fans on a lower setting or not. I might have them a bit higher because I wanted to make sure things stayed cool, but I think they're generally pretty low, whatever settings are on. Can I even feel the air coming out of it? I can feel a slight breeze. I don't really know. It's kind of a miracle how computers said, oh, hello, Rowan, you need some medicine. I'll get that for you. I need a sip of water, my word. It's kind of a miracle, because, like, not a miracle, but amusing about computer buildings. Of course, nowadays there's huge amounts of guides of basically how to do literally everything. You'll be perfectly fine. I mean, you could probably find Linus Tech Tips himself have probably done like 50 of them. Different computer builds, or like, you know, teaching you. Like, I think he was actually who I ended up following, like his builds, or maybe someone else's builds, I can't remember. Following their builds to make sure I understood how to, you know, put things together. It's super simple. You might be like, oh, I'm not really a technical person, can I do it? Yeah, absolutely. If you can follow a guide, like any guide for like anything, you'll be good. But the guides nowadays are so like in-depth, they're so clear, that you'd be remiss if you wouldn't be able to follow it, I think. I don't know, because, like, especially back in the day, I was much more interested in, you know, building computers and that sort of thing, but, you know, building computers is kind of a rather expensive hobby, isn't it? So, you know, it's not exactly something you do all the time. But I remember one thing I'd still like to do at some point would be able to make one of those, like, really tiny mini computer builds. I don't know why I would use one, to be perfectly honest, because I think I would rather just have a laptop. If I wanted something for portability, but it just sort of sounds like, you know, cute to be like, oh, my computer's like so tiny and mini, it's so easy just sort of like pick up and move anywhere. Especially if you're like moving house, because like when I used to bring my computer to university, I didn't always, like in my first year I bought my laptop. My laptop was really bad though. I'm not gonna lie, my laptop was terrible. I bought a terrible laptop. You might be like, what laptop did you buy? I can't even remember its brand. I think it was a Lenovo, was it? It was some really random laptop, I'm going to be honest. But the only reason I bought it was because it was on sale. Essentially, it was like £150 off or something. And I was like, that's pretty good. Or like, you basically buy it and then you can get like a sort of like refund if you apply within like 1 month or something. And I was like, that sounds like a pretty good deal. This laptop seems fine, so let's do it. Bought the laptop. I would say it wasn't one. I think I probably could have done better for the money. I think it was worth the price I got it at least. It wasn't atrocious. The drive size wasn't huge. It's processed. It's like actual technical. Like, I'm not that knowledgeable about like the processing power of computers, etc. But it was fine. It was usable. Like, I could run League of Legends on it completely fine at like 30 FPS or something. Bearing in mind, it's not a gaming laptop or anything. It was just sort of like a general purpose laptop. It could run Siege very poorly. I can tell you that much. It ran at like 20 frames per second or something. I still played Siege on it for whatever reason. And then the thing is, the battery life kind of like shot towards the end of its existence. Like I used to bring my laptop and a monitor, but then the battery life was terrible. It was the same thing as a computer, because I had to have it plugged in all the time, because its battery life was like an hour, or no, even less, like 20 minutes or something. I can't remember. And I was like, this is not good. So at some point, I just started bringing my computer in. And honestly, it's not too big a deal bringing a computer in. Not mine. It's not like it wasn't like an absolute pain or anything, but it is like, I don't know. In the back of my mind, I'm always a little bit worried, being like, I don't want, don't drop your computer. That'd be bad if it broke or something. Don't like, do anything dangerous or silly with it, etc., etc. There's always that little worry, but this computer's held up very nicely. Have I named this computer or anything? No, I don't really tend to do that. I just guess I'll call it an in-wing computer, because that's kind of what it is. But it was a fun time making it. I remember when building it. When I was first building it, I what you're meant to technically do when you actually build a computer is like build it in batches, so you can sort of batch test everything, make sure all the component parts are working correctly. But I didn't do that, because I was like, I can't be bothered to set up my monitor outside of a computer and then have to like reset it up inside of a computer, when I could just set it up inside a computer. So I did it all in one fell swoop, and I got to the end, like plugged it in and tried to turn it on, and it didn't turn on, and I went, what? And I remember being like, oh, what could I have missed? And panicking a little bit, being like, oh, what happened? Luckily, I didn't panic for that long, because I was just like, oh, you know what? Forgot to flick on the power supply. Wasn't even on in the first place. And I was like, oh yeah, I got very lucky that, I flicked it on and then it all turned on. And I was like, oh, amazing. I got very lucky that it was a very simple thing that I was missing. Because if it's something much more complicated, like an actual faulty part, I was like, oh, it'd be significantly worse. When did I build this computer? 6 years ago, maybe? I'm not really sure. 6, 7 years ago, something like that. And no one asked that question, but maybe you were thinking it. I'm trying to think what else even happened. Like, there's a weird thing as well, where like I ordered all my parts, and then like they all came in like in a reasonable time frame, except for the motherboard. It hadn't like arrived at all, which was super strange. Because it was sort of like I kind of expected by now. Everything's arrived by now, and it had been like a month or almost a month, and it's like, how's it still not arrived? And the craziest thing is, it was delivered, apparently, but it was just delivered to a wrong house. It was delivered to what ended up being like a street not too far away where I lived, but the same number of that street, which that street had a rather similar name to the street I lived on. And the reason that like the people who own that house never like came to like be like, hey, we got your package by accident, because it happens it used to happen quite frequently between our houses, was because they were on holiday. They were like, they'd gone for like a few weeks or something. They came back and they were like, what's this like package doing like on our doorstep? And we looked at it and be like, hey, wait a minute, we didn't order anything like this. This isn't our name on the thing. This isn't even our house address. And the craziest thing, yeah, it was not stolen for like 3 weeks. It was like out on the porch, and it didn't even break down or anything like that. It was particularly resilient, I suppose. Like it must have rained or something, but I assume they must have had like, actually maybe it didn't rain, because I think I built it in summer, so it probably basically never rained or anything. So it wasn't like, didn't face any sort of like adverse climate conditions. It just sort of sat there and no one stole it, which is fantastic. But to be fair, it was also that street is quite like a sort of like a cul-de-sac of a street. It's quite small, and you'd be sort of hard pressed to see people randomly wandering over there, unless you lived there. It's not really like a by road for anything. But yeah, I guess it's sort of just like a miracle when no one even stole it in the first place, and it's still working particularly well to this day. I don't know, like you might be like, are you kind of due for a computer upgrade now? Maybe. The timelines are sort of around this time, isn't it? Let me think. So the first computer I built must have been around year 7. Year 7 or year 8, I think I was in. I must have been in year 8. And this one I built just before first year of uni, I think. So that would be about 5 years of first computer. This computer has been about 6 years now, I think. Yeah, it's been 3 years since I graduated. Wow. Time sure flies, huh? Let's sell these fruits and then we'll see where we go from there. And then, yeah, that's I suppose that brings us to sort of a modern day now. You know, here we are with this computer. It's sort of vibing. I'm vibing with it, and it's great. Had to reinstall Windows a couple of times, I think, but I don't even remember why I reinstalled Windows, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I just remember doing it. And yeah, I don't know, hasn't steered me wrong. Am I going to upgrade it? Well, I don't, as I said, the only thing I think I'd upgrade is I think I'd put more RAM sticks in. I don't think anything else particularly needs an upgrade. I don't need a cutting edge of technology. I think what I have works perfectly fine. Like, it works perfectly fine for games, works decent enough for like video editing software, could render a bit faster. I'm not too worried about it. I don't render a lot of videos in first place, you can tell. All of my things are very sort of off the cuff. I don't edit things. Apart from like at anniversaries, and sometimes I edit things. Actually, to be fair, for like my Animal Crossing anniversary, which is kind of like my YouTube anniversary, is like, I didn't edit a video at all, didn't I? This is 5 hours straight. Yeah. So no, building computers. I feel like I've spoken about this before, you know. Let's Google. Let's search my videos. Computer cleaning. I haven't. Well, building computers, I don't know. It's not a hobby of mine, but you know, if you ever wanted a computer and want to upgrade, absolutely you build your computer. It's way cheaper than buying a pre-built, kind of. It used to be true when I was a lot younger. Now that I'm a bit older, there's services now which build computers for you. They're not bad, a lot of them. Obviously, it is more expensive that they build it because, you know, you're kind of paying them for the service. But they're not bad nowadays, as I understand it. I don't have any so any company recommendations, because I don't know. Just do your research, it'll be fine. Probably not Alienware, I would suggest, but you know, it's up to you really in the end. And if you got the money for it, it's up to you how you spend it. But on that note, I'm going to round off this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.